from a consumer point of view, it's ridiculous that I buy something on my iPad and then when I use my BlackBerry phone I cannot access it and I have to buy it again. It's just not good for the consumer. Hopefully there will be some sort of open media platform. That's really what you want to have in the cloud. You want to have open media where you can store all your different media sources, no matter where you bought them, and you have free access to them and you can download them to whatever device you have. And that's the future I hope for, at least.
The only way you can break through the clutter is by being more creative. And my definition of creativity, at least in the world that we work in, is the magical ability, and I believe it really is a magical ability. It isn't a formula, to capture and hold the attention of the audience while you give them some information or a demonstration or an experience that changes the way they think and feel, but most importantly the way they act. Creativity drives change in behavior.
I think if you really want to find out where the trend is going, look at what Tim Kring is doing with Heroes. He's developed an integrated media solution. So the website, the television show, was putting websites in the show that people go to create alternate reality games. They create their own heroes online. There's graphic novels going around. So you're seeing this large mix that's bringing the whole experience together. So it's not just about sitting and consuming one type of media at one time. It's about consuming multiple types of media that are all around the same kind of idea, philosophy, campaign, story, or whatever, but on multiple levels. And I think that's what we're going to see. It's much more integrated solutions and much more integrated media, shows, films, whatever, to basically give people what they want, because everybody's sitting with their laptops in front of the TV anyways. So utilize that.
If I look to, so for instance, some of the very interesting things that are happening in developing worlds such as Africa, you see that the business models around different forms of communication are one of the major driving factors in which ways people choose to communicate. So for instance, if I look at the urban communities in Africa, people tend to communicate through IM, on mobile device. Why? Actually, because it's a much cheaper way of communicating than it is to use an SMS or it is to use voice.
We have to rethink the way we do business, because it will be about networking, it will be about integrating the existing resources in a much smarter way, because the resources are limited for all of us. And I think that will be the dominating question for the next decade we are facing.
Now people are much more comfortable and in fact want to publish, want to make themselves heard, want to have a voice. What does that mean? That of course means that the web is becoming a more social medium. It's becoming more important to know who your friends are. It's becoming more important to make those connections. If I know you, your recommendation might be more relevant than somebody else's recommendation.
There's a very easy way to get people addicted to online services. And what you have to look at is something called game mechanics. Now, game developers have known this kind of stuff for years. Let's take an example of Twitter. Twitter, for a lot of people, the game was collection of how many people are following you, or that you saw that with Ashton Kutcher and what's the guy from CNN, Larry King. They had that kind of battle. So in gaming, you also have kind of this collecting mechanic. So see who's got the most collection of people and so forth. Now, if you take another network, LinkedIn, what they decided to do, and they're very smart about how these game mechanics work, once you go over 500, people in your connection, they just say 500 plus. Because on LinkedIn, they don't want it to have just be like stranger connections, but they want to have real connections in that way. So just by doing 500 plus has dramatically reduced the amount that people will try to get as many contacts as possible, right? So if you look at game mechanics on practically any website, or any, from LinkedIn to Facebook to Twitter to what have you, there's certain mechanics that you can take from video games or game development and basically apply it into those websites. So we developed this concept for Ben & Jerry's that are going, because Ben & Jerry's is going fair trade and with all their flavors, and they're bringing out a new fair trade flavor. So we developed the Givolution. Instead of taking, it's giving. And by doing this, we created a campaign over a year with the backbone of a website. And the website is a Give It Forward auction site. So you may have seen the movie Pay It Forward with Kevin Spacey and a couple of other actors. So we developed much like an eBay kind of auction site, but instead of you getting an item and trading it with someone, it goes on to the next person. So Ben & Jerry's started with 100 ice creams. People bid, you can bid anything except for money. Services, goods, whatever. So people bid like, apple pies, massages. One guy bid an hour of gaming on all his classic game consoles, and like it was really fun stuff, And then so they get the ice cream. Then all of a sudden you can bid on playing the game consoles, right? So you bid like, for instance, making blueberry pancakes. You get to play the game console, and then your item of the blueberry pancakes becomes the next thing on which people bid. So it keeps on going forward. And you see it, it's almost like the paperclip thing, but then you're a part of the whole paperclip chain. So it's a really fun way of giving people a way of interacting with the products in a completely new way, which they haven't been able to do before. And the result of that is that Ben & Jerry's in Holland is actually part of Unilever now, and they've generated the most, free publicity around it, people talking about it, coming in magazines, blogs, and etc. And they've generated more in free publicity than any other group inside Unilever already this year. And we're already halfway through the year, so predictions are it's going to completely double what they've done ever before. By what? Going digital. No television campaigns, no radio campaigns. Everything is done completely guerrilla.
I think that the idea of making it possible to have media on any mobile device anywhere is potentially fantastic. And I think that the way of collecting media into one place is simple and looks to be very compelling.
I have recently learned about that, and I have to say I'm impressed, and I just describe it as the meta portal, so to say, of gathering the information, and I think that's exactly what I would need, and because we used to be in a decade of not having enough information. Now we are in a decade of having too much and too many sources of information, and now it's about condensing it to the type of information I'm interested in, and therefore I think you're already directing in the right way, because people want to have information, but they decide where they believe are the right sources. And to condense this, I think that's a great business opportunity, or let's say great business for you, hopefully in the future, and it's a great opportunity for the consumer to get what they really want. It's the next step, and I hope you're gonna be even more successful in the future.